What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Garry credits Jack Della Maddalena for UFC title win, but sees mental weakness. Machado Garry was cage-side as the backup fighter for the title fight May 10 in Montreal. Though his seat could be best described as one of the best in the house, Machado Garry said he got the wrong impression of the two fighters' abilities in person. When he watched the fight back, his opinion changed. I know how fast I am. I know real time. I thought both of them looked slow from watching it with my own eyes. Then, I watched it back on TV, and it was a completely different look. Jack looked a hell of a lot cleaner than he did in person. He looked a lot faster when you just watched him versus Belal. When you're sat front row, I'm watching it as if I'm in there. That's my mentality. There was a lot of things Jack did that I thought were quite sloppy, but technically he was the better striker, so he was going to win that regardless. Belal has never been known for his striking. In his last 4 fights, Jack has had 1 finish, so he's telling me I need to get into the gym, and I need to find some power. Belal ain't nowhere near the striker I am. I think we can both agree with that. Belal ain't nothing compared to me on the feet. I'm not flying around the world trying to be a superstar, trying to be someone famous. I'm flying around the world ready to fight. If I'm needed, I'll show up and I'll do what I need to do to fight. Dariush admits challenge for UFC 317 training camp versus Moicano. Beneil Dariush admits there is a challenge in keeping things fresh during preparation for his UFC 317 fight against Renato Moicano. Dariush will return to competition for the first time in 18 months when he meets Moicano in a lightweight bout on the June 28th card at T-Mobile Arena. At least he hopes that's what will go down. The pair were initially scheduled to fight at UFC 311 in January, but it fell apart on weigh-in day when Moicano was elevated into a main event title fight against Islam Makhachev. The left Beneil without an opponent or fight, which was disappointing despite being paid his full purse. I've got to freshen up on all the homework I was doing. I don't really look at it as unfinished business. I could be maybe 2 fights away. If I have a good performance now, I'm in title contention. You never know. Sometimes 1 fight might be enough. It might take 3. It will probably take 2 more fights, to be honest with you. As far as who will leave UFC 317 with the belt, Dariush said he's inclined to believe that Topuria is about to get his moment of glory and take the division into a new phase. I don't think I have a preference. I want the best fighter to win. It's interesting to see if Ilia's style will translate from 145 to 155, because there is a different size, but there is going to be a different pressure in that size difference. Paddy Pimblett wants to see UFC treat Jon Jones same as Islam Makhachev. Paddy Pimblett wonders why Jon Jones is still UFC champion after Islam Makhachev was forced to vacate his belt. Makhachev relinquished his UFC lightweight title for a move up to the welterweight division. He is expected to challenge newly crowned champion Jack Della Maddalena later this year. Pimblett was surprised to see Makhachev have to let go of his 155-pound title, with UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones holding onto his belt for a year and a half without unifying it with interim champion Tom Aspinall. Pimblett thinks he needs to face similar treatment. I didn't think they'd make Islam vacate, but if you're making Islam vacate, Jones needs to be stripped. If you're making Islam vacate after 4 defenses, fighting people on short notice, you should let him try and be double champ. Pimblett thinks Makhachev should have defended his UFC lightweight title against Topuria first, before moving up to 170 pounds. If I was Islam, I would have fought Topuria, beat Topuria, and then fought Jack Della Maddalena like 4 months later, because Islam will probably want to headline the Abu Dhabi card in October. Former UFC champion explains big worry for Charles Oliveira in Ilia Topuria fight. In the main event of UFC 317, Charles Oliveira will take on Ilia Topuria in the main event. A lot of fans, pundits, and fighters have had their say on what will happen between Oliveira and Topuria. After all, it's hard not to be curious given the level of talent that's going to be on display. In a recent podcast, Aljamain Sterling weighed in on how things are likely to play out between Oliveira and Topuria. This is interesting because Oliveira gets dropped every fight. The last 8 fights, I would say. We've seen Topuria get dropped before by Jai Herbert, came back. That was the first time he fought at 155. He says he feels better at 155. His power is way different at 155. What is that power going to translate into at 155? And if he can touch Charles the way he hits everybody else, I think it's a bad night and Ilia's a 2-division champion. I'm leaning towards Ilia. Of course, Oliveira can win if he can grapple with him early. Maybe he surprises us and shows us that Ilia can get tired and take off some of the sting of those punches. But then what does that look like for Oliveira in the later rounds? Can he keep his hands up and defend the right way, especially if he doesn't get a finish? And how does he get the takedown? He's got to close the distance to get the takedown against a shorter dude. How are you doing that? You've got to get underneath him. It's hard. Daniel Cormier shares detailed breakdown of potential Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev fight. Daniel Cormier recently broke down Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev and addressed the risks both fighters could face in their welterweight title fight. I think Islam and Jack Della Maddalena is a great fight. Della Maddalena surprised me in his fight with Belal Muhammad. He just showed that he's much better than people gave him credit for. So well-rounded, so skilled. Makhachev, though bigger, will have an ability to not be cutting all the weight. He'll be more full, he'll be more fresh. I'm interested. I think it'll come down to the wrestling of Islam versus Jack's takedown defense, and how stingy is he going to be able to be with Islam. Because when Islam can take guys down early, they really struggle. The only time a fight looks competitive is when they can defend takedowns, and he spends large amounts of time on his feet, which he does really well too. Justin Gaethje's manager believes he should be #1 contender at lightweight. Following on from his recent short-notice win over Ariel Helwani, many have wondered where he fits into the title conversation at this point in his career. Right now, though, Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira are the ones preparing for a championship opportunity. Justin, meanwhile, is waiting to see whereabouts he will land after an already iconic career. In a recent interview, Gaethje's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, weighed in on how he thinks it should all play out. I think Justin Gaethje's the #1 contender. He stepped up for the company, fought Ariel Helwani at UFC 313, and I think he should wait and fight the winner. That's what I think he should do. But in reality, this game leaves people behind, and I don't want this game to leave him behind. If it makes sense, Justin will fight. Justin is afraid of no one. He will fight anyone. It has to make sense for him. Who cares? It doesn't matter. If you're a fighter and you think you're the best in the world, you have to beat the best guys. You don't pick and choose. Justin Gaethje never picked an opponent. He will fight you anywhere. Anytime. It doesn't really matter, but it has to be fair. A guy who gave his title shot to save International Fight Week and fight Max Holloway. He knocked out Dustin Poirier and Dustin got a title shot. How are you going to tell him he can't get the next title shot? Ariel Helwani reacts to Jon Jones' latest "I'm done" claim. Following UFC heavyweight kingpin Jon Jones' recent assertions that he is done fighting, Ariel Helwani has responded. Jones made his highly anticipated return to the octagon last November when he defeated Stipe Miocic via third-round TKO at UFC 309 to defend his heavyweight title for the first time. Despite hinting at retirement in the build-up to the bout, he has since shared that he plans to continue his legendary mixed martial arts career for the right compensation. Footage recently emerged of Bones on FaceTime with Kamil Gaethje, claiming that he is done fighting in response to being told by Gaethje that the UFC champion still has 10 years left. They're telling me that there's a new video in which Jon Jones is telling someone that he's done. I haven't seen this, but Drake Riggs sent it to me and I just sent it to the team. Do we have this video? Okay, so did he say I'm done there? He was talking to Gaethje. He snuck in "I'm done"? What do you think? You think he's telling the truth? I actually think he is. This is what I've been saying the whole time. They presented the money and he said, "Yeah, I'm good," which God bless. It's a lot of money. I wish we could all be in that position. Anyways, that is an interesting development.